What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex, and in today's video, we're gonna check out a very special car. And no, this isn't a special car for any normal reasons like it's rare or it's fast. Instead, this is a special car because it's one that looks pretty decent on the outside, but in reality is a total pile of crap mechanically, and none of you should buy this. And if it wasn't for the folks at CarMax, in my opinion, totally screwing up the appraisal offer, I was about to get stuck with this car, and it would have been one of the worst automotive financial decisions I'd ever made. Here's the car in question, a 2008 Mercedes-Benz S550 4MATIC with 137,000 miles on it. And the reason I was gonna buy this car is because it's actually owned by a friend of mine who, for the purpose of this video, we will call the car destroyer, because although he's a great human being, he sucks at owning cars. This thing hasn't been serviced for about 2 years, and when things break on it, he basically just avoids them. So he knew the car had a lot of mechanical issues, and he decided, instead of fixing it all up, that he was just gonna sell it to CarMax for whatever they offered him. I told him, if they offer you less than $4,500, I'll give you $1 more than that, and I'll buy the car and fix it up with the intention of selling it for a profit. To my surprise, they missed a ton of very obvious mechanical issues with this car, and they offered him an insane $7,000 when fair market trade-in value is about $7,800. So before I show you all the stuff that they missed on this car and how much all that stuff cost to fix, let me show you what this car looks like after sitting for just 24 hours. Checking out the S-Class just a day later shows it in a pretty different light. The clip you just saw is exactly how CarMax saw it, as my friend drove it there for the appraisal, but this is what the S-Class is gonna look like day after he sells it to them. We gotta start off with the suspension. This has a very expensive Airmatic air suspension, and after about a day, it totally slams to the ground in the front, and it will in the rear too after a couple more days. Now, this is something they did notice, but I don't think they accounted for the insane cost of a new windshield. As you can see, it's cracked. This car has night vision, a really cool but really expensive option that doesn't work on this car anymore. So that windshield costs $1,300 to replace. And then right away, you'll notice in the back, this tire's totally flat. Well, no big deal, Alex. So it needs tires. Well, you'd think this is something CarMax would pick up on right away. They listed all the rims and tires as in good condition. This thing will leak out after about 2 hours. All the wheels are bent or cracked or both, and all the tires need to be replaced as well, which I'll show you once we get this thing up in the air in the garage and I show you all the other stuff they missed. But first, let's take a look at the interior. I'm gonna show you a pleasant little surprise on the passenger side, and then also the Christmas tree on the dashboard. CarMax listed the interior on the S-Class as in good condition. Now, it's missing some trim items right there. Some of the leather seats are a little indented in where boxes and tools were laying, but overall, I'll agree with them there. He cleaned it up pretty decently for the appraisal, except he totally forgot this, which to me looks like some vomit, which is pretty disgusting. And we have a broken screen right here. These actually aren't too expensive to replace used, but one really major item that they missed was this has a dual panoramic sunroof. This is a very expensive item to repair. They listed it as in good working condition. Well, maybe the sunroof fixed itself recently. Oh, why did I even tilt this open? This does not work at all. It hasn't worked for a very long time, and CarMax missed that. So let's go take a look at the holiday festivities that's going on the dashboard. All right, firing up the S-Class. It actually runs pretty good. Right off the bat, top off washer fluid, no big deal. Tire pressure light, no big deal. Check engine light, that's kind of a big deal. I'll go over that in a minute. Blind spot assist, that doesn't work. The vehicle is rising up with the leaking air suspension, but the pump does not sound that good, as it's probably been leaking for a while. And then as you get driving, it will say parking guidance inoperative, and it'll also tell you that the hood is open. And check out the makeshift hood latch, because the cables are pretty messed up. Actually, the first time we brought it to CarMax, they wouldn't even appraise it. because you couldn't get the hood open at all, so we had to kind of like rig that up. But either way, let's bring it in the garage, get it up in the air, and then we're gonna talk about who's gonna actually end up with this car, because it will be sold to someone, just hopefully not any of you guys. Because I'm gonna list some of the prices for these repairs, I just wanted to go over exactly where I'm getting this pricing from, because if you've seen some of my other videos, I've done this a few different ways. I've shown you how much it'll cost me to do these repairs in my garage, doing my own labor. I've shown you the cost of Mercedes-Benz dealerships, and I've also shown you the cost of someone doing this kind of work for cash on the side. In this video, we're gonna use a scenario that's most likely for this S-Class, and that's that it ends up with a little used car dealer lot, and they're gonna fix it up with used parts. They're gonna use eBay and Craigslist and stuff like that, and they're gonna pay a pretty low labor rate of about 85 bucks an hour. So all the prices you hear, they're ballpark estimates. I did research on eBay and Craigslist, and I found what I believe to be the best prices for these items. We have to start off with the rims and tires. As I said, they're all in really bad condition. Now, it's gonna be hard to tell in the video, but basically all these wheels are bent and all the tires, except for one, need to be replaced. This one has a bubble in it. This tire is just completely worn out on the inside. And then check this out, and keep in mind while you're looking at these that CarMax listed the front and rear wheels and tires in good condition. This one, as you can see, has been repaired a couple times and is still leaking very badly, and the tire is definitely shot. This is the tire that doesn't need to be replaced, which sounds like good news, except it's only because he hit a pothole so hard that it blew the tire out. So he just put a new tire on it, but the rim is totally bent. Average price, if we get a nice used takeoff, or if we price out getting these fixed and replacing one of them with the tire sensors and everything, you're looking at about $2,000. I think that's very reasonable for a 19-inch AMG style Mercedes wheel. Up next, we have the aromatic struts. As you saw, the front end was slammed and the rear is leaking a little bit as well, and the pump doesn't sound all that good, but it is still working currently. So let's just assume they replaced just the two front aromatic struts with aftermarket units. With labor, you're looking at about $1,400 for this repair. CarMax did not list any issues with the steering system on this car, and I'd imagine that's because they totally missed this pretty active power steering leak coming from the rack and pinion steering. And also, this has a loose tie rod end on the right-hand side. So the S-Class needs a new power steering rack, both tie rod ends, and of course, an alignment after those repairs are made. At the dealership, this is like 3,500 bucks, but I was able to find a remanufactured unit and even some used parts on eBay. So you're looking at about a $1,400 repair. They specifically list the 4x4 system as in good working condition, when in reality, they mean the all-wheel drive system. That really isn't in all that good of working condition, as all the grease has come out of this left front axle boot. Looks like it's been doing this for quite some time, and actually when you make turns you can kind of feel a little shuddering. So this axle needs to be replaced, and that would cost about $400 to do that. If you've ever gotten one of these CarMax appraisals done, you know that wheels and tires and brakes are very important to CarMax, as they should be. But somehow they missed this. This has rear brake pads that are very low, and the rotors are pretty rusted. This thing actually sat for like 8 months before it was brought in for its appraisal, and the rear brakes were a little frozen. It had to be driven about 40 miles for it to clean up like this. So they missed this, and these would cost about $400 to replace. I could go on and on and on forever about everything that's wrong with this S550, but we're already at $6,900 on the repair estimate. And of course, a little tiny dealership might skimp here and there on the wheels and whatnot. But the reality here is that the scariest part of this car is not what we know, but rather the unknowns. For example, remember that check engine light from a little bit earlier? That's for a communication error with the transmission control module, and that could mean a bunch of different things, but in this case, the owner of this car has been complaining that the transmission has been slipping. Now, I'll admit, when I drove it, it felt totally fine, but this could be an issue where when it warms up, it feels normal, and that's why CarMax didn't catch it. Now, a transmission for a car like this, a used one with over 100,000 miles, goes for $2,000 just for the part. You tack on a torque converter and some fluid and labor, you're looking at a $3,000 repair right there. that sunroof that we saw that doesn't work at all. That could be the motor, of course, and that's pretty cheap. Can also be that entire dual sunroof assembly, which is multiple thousands of dollars, and you don't want to have to fix that. And then we could talk about all the different warning lights, like the blind spot assist and the parking guidance not working. This has a really expensive radar built right into the front grille that's probably bad. That's about $800 for a used part. So we could probably tack on $5,000 more to make this car still in just good condition, because we haven't even talked about the body, which looks really nice on camera, but it does have a lot of issues. Like this bumper was pulled apart. It's all cracked, the paint's cracked, it's chipped off, the bumpers both need to be resprayed. There are tons of dents and scratches and whatnot. And then there's interior trim that needs to be replaced. That screen that we saw was cracked. We definitely need a detail to get rid of all that vomit, which the car destroyer claims was from when he let someone borrow the car. So take that as you will. And then a lot of other little odds and ends, lighting and stuff like that. Like I said before, this car is definitely going to get sold to someone, and probably pretty soon, because the car destroyer is on his way over here right now to pick this thing up and go officially sell it to CarMax. He's got the title ready to go and everything. So this car is going to unfortunately go to someone that probably has pretty bad credit, that's just looking for a flashy Mercedes and knows nothing about the car. It's going to get sold at a smaller dealership, and they're going to do the bare minimum. They're probably not going to fix up even half of the stuff that I found. They're just going to get a new tire and maybe get a new rim on that side, detail the crap out of it, put a bunch of tire shine on it, and then put it outside. And this is going to look like $1 million to the unsuspecting eye. So someone is going to be in deep trouble with this car, and that's why I'm going to leave all the information in the description box so that someone is not you or someone that you know. The moral of the story here isn't just to bring your piece of crap car to CarMax and expect some massive cash offer. Sure, you can try and do that. I guess their appraisals are free, but normally CarMax is really good at picking out the really bad cars and then offering you next to nothing for them, so you don't even sell it to them in the first place. What I want you guys to get out of this video is a couple things. First off, you gotta get a pre-purchase inspection on these older European cars. Pay the couple $100. It's more than worth it, because the cost of repairs on some of these cars will blow your mind. And I've highlighted the cost of these repairs in a couple other videos where I inspect an older E55 and also my old C43. So I'll link those videos down below. Definitely check them out. And number two, don't buy a car sight unseen just because it has a clean Carfax and a clean title and the pictures look good. Could you imagine this car on eBay? It would look like $1 million. And then if you looked at the Carfax on this, it's only a 2-owner car with no accidents reported. The mileage is perfect. Everything looks awesome. The title is clean. So you would probably go ahead and bid this thing up thinking you're getting the deal of a lifetime. And in reality, you're getting a total pile of crap that needs like $10,000 worth of work. So don't do that. Don't make it a normal practice. You've probably had some friends that have gotten lucky with that in the past, and so have I, but it's not a good idea with these types of cars. You need to get them inspected no matter what. That will do it for today's video. The car destroyer is on his way as we speak to drive this thing over to CarMax, and in a future video, I'm going to show you what he ends up replacing the S550 with, as he's entrusted me to pick him out his next car. And I told him, no more Mercedes, you're not destroying any more of these cars. So we're going to get him something a lot more basic and a lot more rugged. So stay tuned for that video coming in the very near future. And also, if you're wondering, a car like this in good condition retails for about like $16,000. So expect to see this on some little dealership lot somewhere in the United States for about $11,000, $12,000. Someone's going to think they're getting a deal of a lifetime, but we know that they're not. So if you're new to this channel and checking in for the first time, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you end up subscribing. And to all my current subscribers, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. And I will see everybody in the next video.